Welcome to another episode of One on One with Mitch Lafon. Joining me this week from the band The Treatment out of the UK is drummer Dhani Mansworth. They have got a new album, Generation Me, and a new singer, Mitchel Emms. It's sort of a new beginning for the band. They opened up for Kiss way back when. Kiss and I think it was Mötley Crüe a couple of years ago. Great new album, Generation Me. Whole new vibe with Mitchell in the band. So check that out. And let's just get started. Here is the one, the only, Dhani Mansworth. We are speaking with Dhani Mansworth of the band The Treatment out of the UK. Good day, Dhani.
How's it going? You all right?
Good. Yeah, it's doing great. It's a pleasure to speak with you. I love speaking with new bands and especially bands that make great music and let folks know about it.
Yeah, definitely.
So you've got a new album, Generation Me. I've had a chance to hear it. It is phenomenal, so much so that I actually bought the Japanese import because there's a couple of bonus tracks, and I figured, okay, I got to get the whole package. So, let's start there. Talk to me about the new album.
The new album. Basically, it's our first album with our new lineup, as to say. We've got a new singer called Mitchel Emms and a new guitar player called Teo Gray, which is the brother of our current guitar player Tag. And it's almost like we're looking at this album. It's almost like even though it's our third album, we're almost like looking at it as a debut because in our eyes it's a completely new lineup and a fresh band. So we're really, really looking forward to getting this album out.
In fact, let me talk about that. The first couple of albums you had Matt on vocals, and now you've got Mitchell.
Yeah.
Do you approach the music differently to fit the new voice, or do you just say, hey, this is Treatment music, and Mitchell can just sort of figure out how to sing it? Or does the new vocal style lead to a whole new musical direction?
I think it's a bit of both, really. Like, when Mitch first joined the band, we had like half of the album already kind of written. So we the first half of the album was written with obviously Matt's voice in mind. So when Mitch came along, it opened a lot of doors for us to be able to be a lot more creative and go into some directions that we haven't done in the previous two albums. So I think in that sense, Mitch was great going in. But I think as far as the old stuff, we wanted him to kind of emulate Matt's kind of style, but obviously put his own thing on it. And I think the old songs sound better now than they did, you know what I mean? Because Mitch is an amazing singer and he's kind of put his own stamp on everything we've done. So I think we're all like loving how the band sounded at the moment, and I think we've had a lot of good reviews on the new lineup as well. So
yeah, and I think the new album sounds great. Was it disappointing when Matt walked away?
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, like we knew basically Matt told us he was going to leave just before we started doing our first kind of trip to Australia. We went out to do Soundwave. So throughout the whole of like the Soundwave tour, we knew Matt was going to be leaving by the end of it. So we were kind of like not really knowing what to do. And the thing is, Matt's got kind of such a high range. We didn't know where to start looking for kind of that classic rock style voice, you know what I mean? And I mean we're a little bit worried, but I mean by chance we ended up coming like through to Mitch, and from then on we've been good since then.
And talk to me a little bit also about the other lineup changes. Ben, Jake, and Fabian or D. Is that just sort of part of the growing pains of having a band? Is that you sort of got to move parts in and out until you find that proper unit?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like the thing with Ben, you know what I mean? He was in the band for pretty much about 7 years. So, I mean, we felt like a unit then. And when he left, it was a bit like, you know, I mean, the chemistry wasn't quite right for a while. I mean, we had Jake who really didn't fit in, and he decided to leave, and Fabian joined, and same again. You know what I mean? Like Fabian was from Germany, so there was, I don't know, it was a lot. It was like dealing with a kind of someone from almost like a different world. You know what I mean? Because Like the British mentality and like the German mentality is a lot different. So, you know what I mean? There'd be like, I don't know, you'd be in the van and have a joke and he really wouldn't kind of understand it kind of thing. So, I mean, eventually, you know what I mean, Fabian decided that it wasn't for him and he wanted to do something in a different genre and a kind of new musical kind of thing that he wanted to do. So that's when we had the kind of brainwave of deciding to get Teo in, Tag's brother, because, you know, I mean, we've all known him since he was about 10 years old, and it was like getting a familiar face back in the band. So I think since Teo joined, it's definitely become more of a sealed unit, just through knowing each other for so long.
Talk to me about different genres and classic rock, because you're doing music that I love. It's sort of that throwback to the 70s and 80s. It is a difficult genre, though, to try to get a career going in. Why not go into pop or hip hop or something that is more radio accessible?
You know what I mean? It's the music we've all grown up listening to and wanting to do. Like, for us, it's not really about earning money or becoming famous or anything like that. It's just kind of sticking to what we are and what we believe in. And do you know what I mean? Yeah, rock is a hard kind of ticket to be part of at the moment. But I think all it's going to take is for a couple of new bands to really break through to you know what I mean, get a good kind of classic rock scene going again.
So what do you have to do to break through? I mean, sort of what is the arc or the game plan in terms? Is it just touring a lot, or is it about getting on Twitter and tweeting out stuff a lot? What is sort of the game plan to try to make it?
I don't know. Like, I think with rock, it's such a kind of awkward genre. Like, there's not really a blueprint to be able to become successful or become big. You know what I mean? You've got bands that literally kind of, they've tour and keep going for years and never quite scratch surface. You know what I mean? And then you get other bands that they come out, they release one debut and they're selling out arenas within a year. You know what I mean? So I think there is some of it that's luck of the draw, but I think the only way forward is to keep going and you know what I mean? Like, there's no point in stopping if you get a few kind of bumps along the way. So right. We've got the mentality of we're just going to keep going until we make the impact we want to make.
Are you more focused on the European market, or are you sort of, you want to get everywhere? Because you look at bands like Thunder and Ginger and the Wild Hearts and Status Quo, hugely successful in the UK. Head over to Montreal or Toronto or LA and people go, yeah, great, who are they? So what's your focus? Do you want to just be a UK band, or do you want to sort of get out as much as possible?
I mean, we're the kind of band we'll go to anywhere that basically appreciates what we do. You know what I mean? Like, we'd be like really happy with like the thought of breaking Europe and stuff. So, I mean, it's not really for us. It's more about just playing people that appreciate the band and kind of understand what we do. You know what I mean? So whether that be England, Europe, or America, or Australia, wherever. I mean, we're just happy enough to play anywhere.
And you do it well. So let's talk about when you came over to America. I believe it was the first time, or certainly the biggest time, with a little tiny band called Kiss and another little tiny band called Mötley Crüe. I'm sure somebody out there has heard of them, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. Was that sort of because of your association with Doc McGee, or was that? How did you get on that tour?
No. Honestly, we never had any kind of association with Doc McGee
okay.
previous. But basically, what it was is somehow I don't really know how it come about, but Nikki Sixx ended up finding the our video for when we first released the Drink Rock Fight video, and he tweeted about it, and he was like, I kind of said he really liked the band and like supporting new music and stuff, and he posted that video through his Twitter. I mean, oh, that's amazing! Like we couldn't believe like Nikki Sixx was tweeting about us, and then I think it was like probably about six months later, we were doing a tour with Steel Panther, and then out of the blue, we basically got a phone call saying that the Kiss and Mötley Crüe wanted us to go on tour with them, to do like the tour across America. So we didn't even know how to react. Like we didn't even know if we would be able to pull it off. But do you know what I mean? We managed to, and it was probably one of the greatest tours we've ever done.
Yeah, definitely one of the greatest moments of your life,
Yeah.
I can imagine. What do you learn on a tour like that? Because those bands, they've done it. They know the deal. Did you study anything that? And I use the word study loosely, but did you look at how they're organized and how their tour manager works and the whole infrastructure and go, okay. Tell me a little bit about the learning experience on that tour for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think on that tour that was very much like, yeah, I mean that was very much our growing up kind of period. You know what I mean? Because we'd never done anything of that scale before. You know what I mean? We turned up, our first show. I think the first show was in Washington, and it was in like a 30,000 capacity amphitheater. And we like, you know, I mean, I think 2 days before we were playing in a pub in Milton Keynes somewhere. So, like, just to be like, it was almost like we were so overwhelmed with what we had ahead of us. We had to grow up quick, and we had to kind of fit into how they were running things. So, like, on the first day we turned up and we were speaking to the tour manager, and like it was like saying like, so how many crew guys you got? And we were like, well, it's just us and our manager. Like, so we were doing all of our gear, like kind of like this. We'd set up, we'd play our set. Second Mötley Crüe were about to come on, we'd literally lug our gear off, stick it in the van, run to the merch, like literally flog our merch. So we kind of like, I don't know, we had our own system going, and like we had so much help from the kind of Mötley guys and stuff. They'd let us like raid their dressing rooms and stuff at the end. And do you know what I mean? It was just a good experience to just kind of work in that environment. And we picked up so much, obviously, watching Kiss and Mötley Crüe every night. I just think the overall thing we learned from that whole tour was just how to kind of work under pressure, you know what I mean? And I think that kind of made us what we are today.
Yeah, I mean, I think being on the road in that situation is the only way to learn it. I mean, it's certainly something you can't go to school for and have a textbook on. You've got a UK tour coming up in April and May. Talk to me a little bit about the importance of the live show, because for a new band, and I think we're both very conscious of the fact that if your live show sucks, you're doomed. So how important is it for you, and what can fans expect on this upcoming tour? And will you be in North America at some point?
I'd say as far as our live show, we're very much we're very traditional in our sense of, we believe that the only way you become a good band live is just to constantly tour. And I think like, we've always kind of prized ourselves on putting in good shows, and like we're very much a high energy rock band, you know what I mean? We wear our influences on our sleeve, like our AC/DC, our Rose Tattoo kind of bands, and I don't know. I think a lot of what the treatment is about is our live show, and I think, do you know what I mean? I wouldn't really know how to describe what we're like live, but just like we're just a high energy rock band, you know what I mean? And we just play, you know what I mean? It's just like a Marshall guitar into an amp cranked up, you know what I mean? There's no kind of like, there's not really any fakeness to our show. So I think that's what a lot of people have liked the band over the years. And I think as far as America, I mean, we want to go back as soon as possible. It's just finding the right tour, you know what I mean? I think we haven't been back into America in about 3 years. So we're so eager to actually find a right tour to go on out there.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it is finding a tour, because coming over alone can be very costly and somewhat difficult. You've toured, of course, with Kiss and Mötley Crüe, and your influences, as you said, Rose Tattoo and AC/DC and Thin Lizzy, and you did the Steel Panther thing.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? I mean, was this sort of the influence of your brothers, your dad? Is it just that's what the UK listens to? Where did you learn to love these bands?
Yeah. I think for me personally, it come a lot through my dad. I mean, my dad's been in bands over the years. During the 80s, he was in a band called More, who toured with Maiden during like 1981 and stuff. And then he was in a band called Air Race, who had Jason Bonham on drums. So I've had a very kind of musical upbringing growing up. So I'm kind of lucky in that sense of being introduced to these bands from an early age. But when I formed the band, I wanted to find people with the kind of same passion and interests I have. So it's kind of lucky that I found such a young group of people who were into the same genre as I was. You know what I mean? So I think all of us kind of inherited our music taste from our parents and just being around music our whole lives.
Yeah, it's funny when you mentioned Iron Maiden because they had 2 albums with another vocalist, and then they switched over to Bruce, and life went really swell for them. So I'm kind of hoping you follow the same arc. I kind of hope that Mitchell or Mitch brings you into that Maiden thing. So tell me about. I just lost my question. Isn't that horrible? Tell me a little bit more about Generation Me while I try to remember my question.
I mean, like Generation Me is, I'd say the concept behind the album of Generation Me is like, you know what I mean, like, it's very much talking about how our generation of kind of kids and young people is. Their whole lives are dominated by social media, whether it's Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, and they're kind of so self-obsessed by their own image and like watching like stuff on YouTube and stuff. They've kind of lost what good like rock music and stuff is about. You know what I mean? So it's all about trying to make this generation go back to how it used to be back in the day, where people would get like their whole lives would be based around going to gigs each week and do you know what I mean, and buying records and supporting new bands. So it's just all about, you know what I mean, kind of supporting new music and not watching a live gig through YouTube or downloading someone's album.
Yeah, I agree with that. In fact, I'm off to see Black Sabbath after we're done here, which I'm very much looking forward to. And I remember my question. I was going to say, with Mitchell on vocals, is there a chance that you might revisit some of the past catalog, either through a live DVD or a live CD, or for now you just sort of move forward?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, we wouldn't say like no to the idea. We're still playing material off the first 2 albums live, so it's not just the stuff that Mitch is recorded on. But yeah, I'm sure if one day we were to ever do a live DVD or a live album, there would definitely be older songs with Mitchell's voice on it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Just looking back out of curiosity, of all those bands that we talked about, the Maidens and the Thin Lizzys and all that stuff, do you have a favorite album?
I'd say probably growing up, one of my favourite albums was Power Age by AC/DC, just because it was definitely one of their less commercial records, and there's just so many kind of underrated songs on there, which I wish they'd still play live.
Yeah, I agree. And Dhani, this has been a great pleasure, absolutely wonderful, and I love supporting new bands. I know that you mentioned that supporting is something. I get a bunch of free links sent to me so I can check out music, but I tell you, I still buy the CDs because without that, there is no music, and
yeah, exactly.
It's important. And so thank you. And I certainly hope you can get over to North America, especially Montreal, at some point soon.
Yeah, we hope to be there as soon as possible. So
yeah, that's great. And Generation Me, the new album by The Treatment, great new band. Great pleasure, Dhani. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, mate.
Cheers. And there you have it, folks, my interview with Dhani Mansworth from the band The Treatment. The new album is Generation Me. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, please do so. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised there. Head over to Spotify and have a listen. And hey, thank you for listening to me. Check me out at Mitch Lafon. I also have a YouTube channel that you can go check out, and the One-on-One with Mitch Lafon Facebook page. Why not? Join them all. If there's anything you like or any comments you'd like to send me, please just let me know through the Facebook page. And, if you follow the Twitter and you see a show come across my feed, or I tweet out one of the videos, one of my YouTube videos with the interviews on them, and you like them, please retweet them, because the more people that listen, the better the guests I can get, and everybody's happy in the long run. All right, that's pretty much how it works, I think. So there you go. Thank you for listening, and thank you to Dhani for being part of today's show. And bye for now. Cheers.